Greetings and welcome to the Dr. J Vlog series. It is Saturday, March 15th, 2025, and on Saturdays we consider sports and hopefully add a bit of humor into the discussion as well. So before I get started though, quick shout out to my daughter or future daughter-in-law, Luandra, who's just been accepted into medical school starting in September. Great job, Luandria. All right, so in last week's vlog, I talked about individuals who set the records for the shortest professional careers in the four major North American sports, baseball, basketball, football, and hockey. And today, since I'm in my 60s and I've always been a bit of a dreamer, I'd like to talk about the oldest players in each of the four major sports as well. So there's actually a Wikipedia page that's devoted to just this very topic, so it's not that difficult to answer the question. Although it really depends on how you frame the question and what constitutes the oldest. Are you talking about a one-off, or are you talking about people who had regular careers or played full seasons, that sort of thing? So it's not quite as straightforward as you might seem. But I actually want to start today with men's basketball. And most of you, of course, probably know or have heard of LeBron James. He's now currently 40 years old. He turned 40 late December. And he's playing at an incredibly high level of professional basketball, of course, for the Los Angeles Lakers. He's already the NBA's all-time leading scorer in terms of points scored, as well as number of field goals made, minutes played, and he has other records and innumerable achievements, really. But what I wanted to mention about James is the fact that, in terms of his career averages are 27 points per game, 7.5 rebounds per game, and 7.4 assists per game. But what I find most incredible is the fact that at the age of 40 now, he's still averaging 25 points per game, just about 2 points less than he's always averaged. But guess what? He's actually averaging more rebounds, 8.2, and more assists, 8.5 per game, than his career averages. And in fact, he's still playing 35 minutes a game, which is a little bit below his career average of 37 point something. But in addition, his three-point shooting is also above his career average this year. And his overall shooting percentage is above his career average. And his free throw shooting is above his career average. So somehow, and I don't know how, he's managed to get better in some respects. At least from a statistical standpoint, even if you can't quite move as quickly and perhaps he's not as good on defense as he used to be and so forth. But he's truly a freak of nature and will probably keep going, right? But that said, who's the oldest, at least as of now, and before LeBron James gets there perhaps, who's the oldest player to have played a full season of basketball? Again, that's even tough to say because how do you define a full season? So Kevin Willis played for Dallas in the 2006-2007 season at the age of 44. But he only managed to play in 5 games and averaged just 9 minutes per game. Nat Hickey actually currently holds the record as the oldest player to have actually played in an NBA game on January 28th back in 1948. He was just 2 days shy of his 46th birthday. So that was his last game. And so Robert Parrish, though, started for 34 games for the Charlotte Hornets back in the 95-96 season. He was age 42 at the time, but he played about 15 minutes per game. So in any event, depending on how you slice this up or how you think about the oldest person, if I were a betting person, I'd be inclined to bet that LeBron James will probably break the oldest player record. And at the very least, I can easily see him playing significant minutes and still being productive 3, 4, even 5 years from now if he remains motivated. But we'll see what happens. Certainly no other 40-year-old has been able to achieve anything even close. Michael Jordan came back, some of you might recall, and played for 2 more seasons at the ages of 38 and 39 for the Washington Wizards. Still a great player, but even his stats pale in comparison with what LeBron James has been able to do now at age 40. Okay, In addition, well, I should mention there's another gentleman by the name of Pierlo Maserati. He's considered one of the best point guards in Italian and European history, and he played an official game at the age of 54. But even better is the case of Ken Mink. And I don't know if anybody's heard of Ken Mink. I came across this story in a magazine some years ago, and I always found it remarkable. But Mink's story is remarkable in particular because he played basketball, not at the professional level, but he re-enrolled and played for a junior college, and he actually was on the team for the entire season. He played at the age of 73. And he actually came in, and I think he played in about 5 different games that year in total. In his first game, he came in and he played a couple of minutes. He got fouled, and he hit his 2 free throws. So he was the oldest player and player to score his first points, etc. And that was something like 50 some years after he last played for college. And he for reasons I won't get into, he was wrongly accused of doing something. He was kicked out of the college. So over 50 years later, he comes back and plays again. So I find that to be just an incredible story. Okay, so what about football, American football? George Blanda extended his career longer than anyone else. There's no question about that. And he played a full season at the age of 48. He was the backup quarterback for several years at that point for the Oakland Raiders. But that season, he was still their regular field goal kicker, their regular place kicker. And he connected on 13 of 21 field goal attempts, and he also made 44 out of 48 extra points, accounting for 83 total points that year. And so, yeah, he played his last game, the last game of the season then on December 21st of 1975 at the age of 48 years and 95 days. And I looked, but I couldn't find any evidence of anyone who'd played older than that. I was looking, I thought maybe somebody's played at age 50. But no, apparently not. Nobody's played in the NFL, at least, at the age of 50. On the other hand, I also want to acknowledge Tom Brady, arguably the GOAT, or at least the quarterback GOAT, who has won 7 Super Bowls in his lengthy career. Of course, he's retired now, but he played his last 3 years just recently in Tampa Bay, including his last 2 seasons at the ages of 44 and 45. And I mention this too because he didn't miss a start in those 2 years. And most impressively, in his penultimate year with Tampa Bay, he led the Bucs to the Super Bowl championship. So again, probably maybe something that might not be matched. We'll see. In baseball, Satchel Paige played a one-off game just 15 days shy of his 60th birthday, so you could say that he might hold the record as the oldest player ever. Several other players have also had token appearances in baseball games in their 50s. But the oldest MLB or Major League Baseball player to regularly play a particular season, a single season, would be Julio Franco. And he actually played in 55 games in his final season at the age of 48. And he batted .222 that season, which is not horrible. It's pretty low, and it's significantly lower than his career average of .298. But nonetheless, a shout out to Julio Franco for his efforts. But I also want to mention Nolan Ryan. He had a lengthy career as a pitcher, a well-known Hall of Fame pitcher. And I mention him because he played regularly for Texas back in the 1993 season at the age of 46. He ended up ultimately being the career leader in strikeouts with 5,714, also in issuing walks, 2,795, among other records. But his most notable career achievement, I think, would be his 7 no-hitters. No one else comes close to that particular record. And again, just as impressive, he threw his 7th and final no-hitter at the tender age of 44 on May 1st, 1991, against the Toronto Blue Jays. And finally, there's professional hockey. And some of you will almost certainly know that Gordie Howe ranks as the oldest player to have played hockey professionally. He played for the Hartford Whalers in the NHL in the 1979-1980 season, and he wasn't just a stick figure or a pylon. Rather, he scored 15 goals and had 26 assists in his final season. He did also have a one-off game or one-off appearance at the age of 69 and 276 days, but I'm not going to really count that so much. And then I want to also mention briefly a couple of other older players in the NHL. I'm also impressed with the oldest goalies that have played in the NHL. You have the one-off performances of Maurice Richard at age 45 and of the legendary Johnny Bower. But Bauer's really, I think, more impressively from my perspective is the fact that he still played at the age of 44, he played a full regular season, and he actually for the Toronto Maple Leafs, and he actually played in 20 games. So that's impressive. In the 68-69 season, again at the age of 44, he still played semi-regularly. He also, by the way, happened to have split the goal duties in the 1966-67 season. And I mentioned that. He split his time with Terry Sawchuk because the 67 season was also the last season in which the Toronto Maple Leafs won the Stanley Cup. Also, quick shout out to Chris Chelios, who's the oldest NHL defenseman at age 48 when he retired in 2010. Again, just a few other notable achievements, older players. I want to mention Nancy Lieberman, who played in the Women's Professional Basketball League at the age of 50. There's Martina Navratilova, who played not only professional tennis at the age of 49 when she retired in 2006, but also that very same year, she managed to win not a Masters title. She managed to win the U.S. Open mixed doubles title with her partner. She teamed with Bob Bryan, who was like 22 years younger than she was. But nonetheless, they actually won the Grand Slam title, the mixed doubles title at the U.S. Open. And that was, by the way, 32 years after she won her first Grand Slam back in 1974. So that's an incredible feat. And then I just want to mention briefly professional soccer. And this stands out to me in particular because of a fellow by the name of Robert Carmona. Now, he was born in April of 1962, again, just a couple of weeks before yours truly, for that matter. And so what's he up to? Well, I mention Senor Carmona because he's an active soccer player. He plays as a center back, and he's the captain for the 4th Division Hacele un Gol a la Vida in Uruguay. So he is living la vida loca. He's still playing actively professional soccer. I know it's a lower level league and so forth, but nonetheless, that's amazing. Oh, and by the way, his career started back in 1976, almost a half century earlier. So indeed, he holds the Guinness Book of World Records, or he holds the record, I should say, in Guinness for the longest ever regular season playing career, okay, in soccer history. So never say never. Maybe your day is tomorrow, just around the corner. Maybe I'll go sign up or enroll at a junior college. I still, by the way, I have 4 years of eligibility left. So anybody who's out there, I have my old high school buddy, Tommy Amaker. He's the coach at Harvard University basketball. So I still have 4 years of university eligibility, and I'm only in my early 60s. So again, I'm just throwing it out there. If anybody's looking for a player, looking for a point guard, I distribute the ball. I'll get the ball to the shooters. Don't worry. Try not to turn it over. I'll try not to trip when I'm running up the court. But anyway, I'm just saying I'm available. Okay. Well, that's it for today. And until next time, may you and yours continue to create peace in your lives and nurture love in your hearts. And be sure to give someone a hug today, but especially, as Bob Barker used to say, help control the pet population. Have your pets spayed and neutered. And we'll see you tomorrow.